Hello, class. Welcome back for the last round of information for this week. Today we're dealing with the issue of classification or taxonomies. I put a slideshow which basically talks a little bit about the history of that, but I'd like to add some things to it. Just think about taxonomy. It's just in a broad sense of how we organize things, right? Particularly living organizations. It's essentially a hierarchy of evolution. Which form, I guess, begets which form. Classification is nothing new. I mean, even the Greeks actually tried it, but nothing really officially was put down that really made a lot of sense until the Swedish naturalist by the name of Carolus Linnaeus. He actually changed his name to that. His real name was Carl von Linné, a Swedish guy who did this in the 1750s. And he was big on utilizing Latin terms, so the word taxonomy in itself, taxa actually means arrangement, and nomos, taxonomy means law, right? Therefore, it's just principles and methodologies of systematics. Okay. Now, the thing about uh, classification, if you look and as you proceed these slides, you'll find out that there are no time ticks or no time marks associated when these things actually happen. In fact, the only sort of information that we get, the only sort of graphs that we have, a way of charting that, are through what we call phylogenetic trees. And we'll be looking at those later in the class, exactly what a phylogenetic tree is. So be aware of this. And we have to think about it too, that when Carolus Linnaeus was producing, taxonomies for the very first time, he was in a period where he did not know the time depth of organisms. In fact, he was a practicing Christian. So to him, these things came about at once, and we'll be adding those layers of time later on. Now, there's a couple of other distinctions we've got to think about why these things are so useful for us. One of the problems that biologists and anthropologists have are trying to determine, which traits that are ancestral that come from a line of animals and which things could have been derived separately. For example, let's think about wings in birds and wings in bats. These are completely different classes of organisms, right, who independently derived the ability to fly. They don't have a close ancestral or genetic relationship, right? So we've got a couple of terms that we've got to learn here, which describe those. Now, I've included a short definition list, which you'll see linked below here, which you can open up, all right? So first of all, homology. This is one of these words we need to tackle with. Now, it refers to biological structures that are similar, the same, homologous, right? And they're found in two more different species, right? And those characteristics can actually be traced to a common ancestor. Okay, so when we develop a taxonomy, we can see those relationships that we're building through a taxonomical relationship, and therefore they reveal homologies, right? Now, on the other hand, we have the issue of called homoplasy, right? And that describes structures that maybe two or more species seem to have in common that are not inherited from a common ancestors. And a clear classification scheme can separate that and let us know what has been independently derived. Okay, so you got to think about it this way. Homologies are products of sort of divergent evolution. That means that a single ancestor split or diverges into two more different species, but they carry the same traits that you're looking for. They just might look different, but they come from the same common ancestor. On the other hand, a homoplasy is from convergent evolution. That's when things which don't have an evolutionary connection together start looking like they do. They potentially seem like they're actually coming together simply because they are responding to changes in the environment through natural selection together, because the pressure is on them both to change in certain ways. Fish with fins and whales with flippers. I think those are a very, very good points of examples there. All right, so get through my list of definitions and have a look at that slideshow I'm going to show you. Now, when you get to the bottom of that, you're also going to see two human taxonomies. One will probably overwhelm you. It's the complete human taxonomy that I have listed there, but the very last slide is an abbreviated one, and that's the one we use most often, and I've actually ticked that with some very important characteristics, like what does it mean to be hominoideae, right? So I've listed that in there. And also, I want you to realize that that very last slide is the one that I'm offering an extra credit for. If you can tell me that human taxonomy, not the complete one, but the abbreviated one at the very end, which I have posted on the front page, that's 10 points. So you'll tell me kingdom, animalia, phylum, chordata, right? On and all the way down. If you can do that, come to me, tell me, 10 points in your pocket. All right? Talk to you next week.